All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you all for attending this panel today, and thank you for the Sin Futures team for hosting. Y'all could have been anywhere today at DevCon with so many wonderful events, but y'all chose to be here, so super grateful for everyone showing up and tuning into this panel all about bass. So a quick intro of myself. My name is David. I'm on the ecosystem team at Base, mostly focused on consumer. And for those of you who don't know about Base, we're a L2 incubated by Coinbase, built on top of Ethereum. So Base is L2, built on Ethereum. And our goal is to bring the world on chain and to build a global on-chain economy that increases creativity, innovation, and freedom. And to do that, it's going to be a massive team effort. It's not just going to be the Base core team. It's also going to be these amazing projects here that we have today that are all contributing to this mission. And we really believe that for us to bring the world on chain, to build this global on-chain economy, it's going to take every single developer, builder, app. So super excited to dive in today. And I gave a quick intro about myself, about Base. So now I think it'd be nice to turn to you guys. For those who don't know, maybe we can start in this order. A quick intro about yourself, what you're building, and how you got to where you are today.
Right. Hi, everyone. Jansen here, co-founder of Virtuos Protocol. If you guys are familiar with Base, you guys would know that we are the guys behind Luna, one of the AI meme agents out there. But I think the core of it, Virtuos, it's something more exciting. It's a platform that enables the co-creation and the co-ownership of AI agents. That's who we are. Let it guys.
I'm Georgios, co-founder of Axelar. Our mission is to connect all chains. There's hundreds of chains today. We believe that there's going to be millions, and we're very excited to integrate with Base. We feel like it's going to be the major on-ramp and off-ramp for people in the space. And through Base, we can allow people to enter any of the millions of chains that are going to exist in the next few years. And you asked how we got into the space. Personally, I'm from Greece. About 10 years ago, we had this big financial crisis, banks locking everyone's accounts, impossible to get money out of the accounts. And the only way for me to send money back and forth with my family was crypto back in the day, right? So it's something that a lot of people, if you talk in the US and the Western world, don't understand because they have not encountered those issues, but there's billions of people in the world that don't even have access to a bank account, right? So that's the problem we're here to solve.
Agreed, love that.
Hi everyone, it's Sean from Open Social Protocol. And so Open Social, it's a socialfied protocol, and we are building on Base. And like everyone can create their own exclusive space, which is also an app. So it's a social space, and we can integrate like all kinds of like Web3 elements. For example, you can create a social space with prediction or DEX, and it's your own app. And you can invite your friend and people who would like you to join the space. So that's what we're working on right now. And also, developer can use the Open Social Protocol to build their app super fast, pretty much codelessly. And right now on Open Social, we have one app called Solv, and it's built on Base, and we are generating probably around 6% of Base daily transactions right now. So it's pretty good.
Hi everyone, my name is Jing. I'm part of the team at Solv. I guess firstly, before I go into detail, thanks a lot for the host for having us here today. Secondly, I just punted a meme on Virtuos a few days ago, and I think I'm down big time. But then, back to the topic, right? So I think we are a bit different from everyone else. We do Bitcoin and we do Bitcoin staking. So something that we are hoping to do much more on Base together with all the builders over here.
Awesome. Thanks all for the amazing intros and super exciting things each one of you are working on in various verticals that are so important to the Base ecosystem. And what Georgios said about crypto being this global payment rail where you can send money that's cheap, instant, I can definitely relate to that. I grew up in Hong Kong, actually, born and raised there, so it's nice to be back in Asia. And I live in North America right now, and I also send money home, and the way I do it right now is through crypto, just because it gets there within 1 second, 1 cent, and I don't have to wait for 5 business days or pay a $30 fee. So I love that, and I can definitely relate. So the next thing I want to ask you guys is, obviously the ecosystem right now, there's tons of L2s, there's tons of L1s even. What made you want to build on Base? And also, if you're a multi-chain project, why did you choose to integrate Base and kind of support it? And yeah, we'll start from this, and then we'll end here as well.
Okay, I think our story of... So we were actually talking to a lot of L2s or and chains, when we're trying to decide where do we house like this, the home for our entire agent orchestration layer. And after talking to everyone, we realized there's only two places where you should build, right? It's either in Solana because of the liquidity, or on Base because it's just a culture of great builders. And it's very forward-looking versus a lot of other L2s who are like, I don't know, I mean, quote unquote, it's a very raw way to say it, but past their prime, right? So I think that was actually our thesis, and we're probably one of the earlier projects that was on Base in February as well. And I think the beauty about choosing this, I think what was right for us is there's a lot of support from the team. I think Jesse, you folks, whenever we have problems, issues, we'll be like, okay, guys, yeah, here's some of the problems, right? Help us fix it. If you need amplification of voice, Jesse's always there, right? It's like, okay, guys, let me amplify what you guys are trying to do, right? So I think that kind of support is something that we've realized we feel missing from a lot of other chains, like the cohesiveness of builders. And we wanted to bring out liquidity pools. The Aerodrome folks came, right, and say like, guys, you know what? You guys might not have enough Aero tokens. We will use their own governance token to direct liquidity to your pool. So there's a lot of cohesiveness between builders in the Base environment that I think that attracted us. And I think right now, on hindsight, I think it was a good choice as well to build on.
That's awesome to hear. One requirement to be a part of the Base core team is you have to be a builder yourself. Because if you're not a builder, you can't help other builders. And that's something, when it comes to hiring and growing our team, we really want to focus on. And we really want to focus on being like the Y Combinator of chains, right? Our focus is to help apps in our ecosystem build something that people want, dead simple user experiences that can bring the world on chain. And it's great to hear builders like you are feeling that support from our team, and that's something we'll definitely focus on and continue to do moving forwards. But yeah, that's awesome.
And 100% agree with that, especially you see your leader, Jesse, just being online all the time, hands-on helping builders on the ground. Like, you just don't see that in most ecosystems, so that's awesome. From the Axelar side, of course, we integrate many chains, so maybe I'll give more of an outsider perspective. We were there from the very early days, before even the public launch, when the network opened for developers. For us, the decision was simple, right? We talked to projects in different ecosystems. We're like, which chain should we prioritize? And Base were probably the one chain that everyone was asking for, right? Like there's even meme coins now that want to launch big cross chain, and they want to launch on Base, right? And access all the users and the liquidity. So it was an easy decision from the Axelar side. For me personally, why I'm very excited about Base is because, of course, you have the backing of Coinbase, and the promise of crypto is bringing real-world assets on chain. Stable coins, savings accounts in the form of tokenized treasuries. And with Base that has the backing of Coinbase, it will be very easy to bring everything on chain, right? I guess that's your motto as well. It's on chain summer last year and just bringing all the assets on chain. So I feel like with the backing on Coinbase, you're one of the very few chains that has the potential to fulfill the promise of crypto, right? So that's why I'm personally very excited. But yeah, so much demand, so it was a no-brainer from the Axelar side to integrate the chain.
Incredible, thank you.
Yeah, so because we're putting all the social graph on chain, so I think gas fee is one of the criteria when we pick one of the chains, and that's why we pick L2 instead of L1, because L2's gas fee is a lot more lower than L1. And the second thing why we're choosing Base is because we think that Base has the soil to grow social applications, like Farcaster, FriendTech. It's all came from Base. Right, so a lot of social users are actually hardcore social fans on Base, and we think Base is super consumer friendly. That's the third thing why we choose Base chain, especially the on-off ramp for Base. I think that's super retail friendly actually. So actually a lot of our retail users, they just on ramp and it's their first time buying crypto, right? And the fourth thing is that I think a lot of ecosystem on Base is so it's all well done. For example, we heavily relied on account abstraction and all kinds of third-party supports, and it's easy that we can find those supporters on Base. But when we go to different L2, especially new L2s, there's no such things there. And sometimes we need to build it by ourselves, and there are a lot of bugs. Yeah, and for example, account abstraction, sometimes it might cause like you cannot withdraw or deposit through that contract in some L2s. I won't mention like which L2 is that, but I think we never face any issues on base. So I think all the effectiveness and it's pretty smooth. So that's why we choose base.
Amazing, yeah. And I also agree that right now what our team is thinking is that for the next wave of growth, it's going to be a viral consumer app that brings like millions of new users, net new users to the crypto ecosystem. A viral app like TikTok, even like ChatGPT, right? I think there's been tons of growth, great growth in the crypto industry already, especially on base. But for this next wave, we think consumer is going to play a huge role. So super grateful that you're building your consumer app on the base ecosystem.
So everyone has been very polite, right? Like everyone has been talking about how great base is. Like our experience is that building on base is hard. Like it's really hard. I think it's different from many other L2s in the sense that you're not throwing around incentives and grants and stuff. But what that also means is that you actually have to build a product that works. There's some form of product market fit. And you only really build, and you probably bring the most hardcore builders, people who are looking to build something that's actually sustainable. And that's what we notice as we build on base and as we build throughout the ecosystem. Like that's what we notice. And then the second point, which I think very early on when I was chatting with Jesse and I was chatting the team, one thing they really pitched me hard was about how the wallet is going to be integrated with the chain and how it's almost going to be like a one-stop shop. And because we're doing Bitcoin, for us, the home is not really E. The home is the flow of assets and how is it going to come on, right? You don't find most Bitcoin holders holding their assets on Ethereum, right? They hold them in custody wallets, in ledgers, in exchanges. And that's our perspective, right? We want to be at the point where those assets actually come into the space.
Yeah, definitely +1 on that. Wallet is going to be the homepage for base and for the on-chain economy. So there's going to be tons of new developments coming up with Jesse now leading both base and the wallet product. And it's going to be a seamless one-stop shop like you mentioned. And also on the point you mentioned on base, not being a chain that will be giving out grants and incentives. And it's mainly targeted at builders building something for the long term. That's really something the team is focused on and will continue to focus on as well. Because we do think the best thing that base can do is to support these teams, give feedback, use the products to help them actually build a sustainable business. Because that's the only thing that's going to last. Grants, incentives, that is short term. And even though it's free money, you pay in other ways as well. So what we're really focused on is building a platform ourselves that's a developer-focused, builder-focused platform that we're looking for product market fit in that area, but we're also wanting apps on our platform to find product market fit, and we'll do whatever it takes. We'll run through walls to help these apps find product market fit and to get to users. So yeah, I mean, there's no shortcuts in building, whether it comes to developer platform or consumer app, and we're taking the hard way at base, and we think this is the only way to build on-chain products with real utility that are either bringing more value into people's lives or making their on-chain experience more fun, or just driving more utility in general. And good to see you, Kenneth. You came a little late. But yeah, the topic is base, and this question we're currently discussing is like, why did you choose to build on base?
So I think, maybe I'll just drop some context first before I get into anything. Kenneth, I'm a contributor at Lido DAO, and I deal with DeFi growth. I think base was like one of our really early bets. Like we got Rep Steve deployed on base, through some friends of ours. Defi actually helped us deploy, and then the DAO actually took over like the contracts and everything sometime in October, November last year. So the bet was actually pretty simple. Like, why would you want Rep Steve on base? It's because the whole idea that, if we're gonna get like a next wave of users, and if we're gonna get what we are experiencing now, which is like a bull market, where would like the potential access points be? So in terms of like how the contributors thought about it was like, look at previous cycles, you had like BNB chain seeing massive growth, and that was strictly because it was an easy access point for anyone that's using Binance. And similarly, so with FTX, admittedly, it was like a great growth driver for them. So when it came to Base and why Lido actually, the contributors at Lido actually decided to deploy RepSteve early on Base, and we're actually like pretty early in terms of incentivizing and everything on Base, because I believe the growth community is actually like one of the bigger holders of VE Aero, because we started incentivizing liquidity of RepSteve since like November to December last year. The reason why this bet was taken on is simple. It's like, if we do end up in a scenario where we are now, like a bull market, access points. So the whole pitch of why would you want users to be using RepSteve in DeFi, similar to CBETH, right? It's like you're using ETH, but rewards accruing, and in some sense better because you're like more capital efficient with it and all that. So the bet was quite a no-brainer for us, and why we chose to deploy liquidity specifically on Aerodrome. That's also strictly because it's like a renowned team that was already building on the OP stack, the OP superchain. So yeah, until now, I think RepSteve is probably the most liquid LST, I believe. I'm not too sure if it actually flips CBETH, but I do think like at some point in time, it's more liquid than CBETH on Aerodrome. And yeah, pretty much the whole idea is if the new inflow, the new influx would come through access points like Coinbase, take the bet. And I think evidently it's, the growth has been pretty resounding. Started off at like 2K RepSteve being bridged in the first few months of deployment to, I think it's like maybe up to 34, 35K RepSteve now. And yeah, the whole idea is if everybody sees it the same way, people come here to build, then that's the whole point of like getting composable RepSteve and integrating it into Base. So it was quite a clear bet, honestly. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for all the great answers. I think a common theme, well, 3 common themes that everyone brought up and that we constantly hear about why folks are choosing to build on Base is number 1, that, you know, being the front door of the whole on-chain economy and the distribution that you brought up to users, businesses, you know, folks that are online and off-chain. So that's number 1. Number 2 is like the deep capital markets on Base, the liquidity. Base is increasingly becoming the center of the on-chain economy. And I think, you know, when it comes to metrics, we all see that right now Base is number 1 in terms of TVL, but also a bunch of other metrics related to DeFi. And the last thing is just the builder community and the builder ethos on Base. So we're builders ourselves. Jesse is our number 1 builder. And I think his persona and his values has really been entrenched in the ecosystem. And you know, we're attracting real builders like yourselves, and we're super grateful that you're building on Base as well. So segue into the next question. So Base's mission is to build a global on-chain economy that increases innovation, creativity, freedom. And our strategy of getting there are 4 things. The 4 things we focus on is number 1, building a powerful developer platform that allows everyone like you guys to build world-class apps on Base. The second thing is, you know, nurturing a vibrant ecosystem of apps when it comes to AI, DeFi, bridging, consumer. So we want to nurture as many apps as possible because these apps, we believe, are what's going to bring everyday people, businesses, enterprises on-chain. The third thing is to foster capital markets that are deep, tons of liquidity to be the center of the global interconnected on-chain economy across all L2s, L1s like Solana. And finally, we want to do this in a way that's decentralized, and we want to do this in a way that's scalable. So we recently reached fault proofs, and we're going to reach stage 1 decentralization by the end of the year as well. So these are 4 strategic pillars, which is basically the how of getting to the what, which is the global on-chain economy. So wanted to ask you folks, what do you think your project kind of relates to these strategic pillars and the mission, of course, and how would you relate your team's roadmap and product and strategy to the aforementioned mission and strategy?
Yeah, I think so. For us at Virtuos, we believe that every bull cycle there's going to be a new meta that's enabled by some form of technological breakthrough, right? Your ERC standards brought the ICOs. Your AMMs brought DeFi, your 721s brought NFTs, and we feel like we are on the cusp of like a new meta around agents, in 2025. And for us, I think the idea is that if that is the new meta, every meta has a picks and shovels. NFTs, you have the OpenSea, you have the Blur. Memes, you have the Pump Fund. And we want to be that platform, the pick and shovel platform for the agent meta to come. And the idea is if you do that well, that's where you're going to capture that audience, right? All these users, all these traders, all the speculators, the co-owners are all going to come to Base and to orchestrate these agents or to participate in this agent economy or this agentic web, right? So I think that's where we're positioning ourselves. And and we're working with folks in the economy here to make sure that this becomes a reality next year.
Amazing.
And from the Axelar side, what you said about decentralization really resonates. We've been building for like 4.5 years at this point, and I remember where we're looking at the bridging ecosystem back in the day. It was all like fully centralized solutions, right? And everyone was claiming to be decentralized. Some even had like fake front ends with fake validators. Well, it turned out that for the vast majority of them, it was the founder who had the ledger in their back pocket. When that private key got compromised, all the money was lost, right? So, really proud to be working with you guys. You're pioneering fraud proofs and decentralization for rollups. So that's really great. But something to add here that the other co-panelists said, we don't really chase the metas with Axelar because infrastructure is hard to build and takes years, so you have to be focused. But I do feel like, AI is here to stay and agents are here to stay. And what's interesting is that agents don't really care about user experience, right? And I can even imagine a future where each agent has their own blockchain, which maybe they can customize with their own private rules. And in that future, maybe we even have billions of chains. And cross-chain becomes really important in that future. So, well, it's hard to make predictions, but I would not be surprised if there's one chain for every agent, right? And decentralization will be important in that future. Connectivity will be important in that future.
Yeah, an interesting point on decentralization. Jesse was telling this story to our team, but when he first launched Base on testnet internally in Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, the first thing he did was DM Jesse saying, "Congratulations, but if you're to continue building this, the number one priority is to make sure that it's decentralized, or else we can't do this." And Jesse basically took on the challenge, and I think it's something that's really, really impressive to see from a Fortune 500 company that's public, that's historically been a centralized exchange, that's off-chain, to kind of champion Base being that decentralized chain that's open and permissionless for everyone. And we're going to be at stage 1 at the end of the year, and next year we're going to be pushing towards stage 2. So decentralization is always top of mind for our core team, and it's actually something that is brought up the most internally every single day. So we have a protocols team that's dedicated just to decentralization and working also with Ethereum core devs. So yeah, the future has to be decentralized, and it has to be built on a platform like Ethereum. And Base, we hope to inherit as much of that as possible from the L1. Yeah.
Yeah, so we truly believe in decentralized social. So right now, everyone can create their SocialFi app, codelessly on Base, and all the social graph and data are interoperable on Base chain. So that's something we truly believe, and we are integrating all kinds of plugins. So in the future, everyone can decorate and customize their own SocialFi app, which is pretty fun. And but something that we from when we're building on Base, we think that we need more support from Base team, especially in Asia. I think. Oh, you think that too? Yeah, because sometimes we think when we are building on Base chain, we think that Base chain is very fair. Everyone can launch and build something on Base chain, but ecosystem team has a preference to Western community a little bit more. Is it? Yeah. But so when it comes to on and off ramp, usually only Western users can do that. But we are builders in Asia, and we are bringing 500K users from Asia to Base chain. So sometimes we think that for example, multi-language support and all kinds of on-off ramp support or ecosystem support, it's something we probably need more. So I remember when we first launched on Base chain, we're asking the team, probably you can do retweet or something, but yeah, that took a while. Yeah, so, but I think it's good to build on base chain because people trust base chain and all the ecosystem is there. We'll just continuously build and we'll provide more fun, decentralized social stuff to all the base chain users.
Yeah, thanks for the feedback, and we hear that loud and clear. Base launched a year ago, so we're still a baby, and we're learning every single day. So having feedback like this is super helpful. One thing we really realized this year was exactly your point, that actually we've been focused on North America a lot, just because that's where Coinbase is. We're a US-based company. But for the whole crypto economy and ecosystem, 80 to 9% of the users are outside of North America. And this is why, leading up to DevCon, the Base Core team did a Base Around the World tour, where we went to Africa, India, Southeast Asia, Latin America, and we're actually ending in Singapore next week as well. And our team's also growing really fast. We're hiring a global ecosystem lead, actually, and local country leads for each key region that we're focused on. So hopefully that concern will be addressed in the next coming months. But we definitely think Asia especially is a huge growth area for Base. And me being from Hong Kong and growing up in Asia myself, I definitely see so much energy and interest in Asia, and that's something I would like to see as well. So yeah, super appreciate your feedback, and yeah, we're gonna get there.
So I think it's actually kind of cool that everyone is building in like a different parallel or different narrative, right? Which makes the ecosystem a lot more dynamic and less one-dimensional. Like from our perspective, I think I agree with a lot of the points that what many of the panelists actually brought up. But I think the one thing for us about Base, it's about adoption and institutional adoption. As we work to expand, as we work to grow, a lot of the partners, the LPs that we work with tend to be going towards more your TradFi kind of players. And they want to play on an ecosystem, they want to play on a chain, they want to play with a team that they feel like they can trust. They feel like there's a backing on, right? And I think Base, for many of these points, actually checks the box for them. And that's probably one of the main reasons why we are spending increasingly amounts of times, because we think that adoption and Base, they go together.
I think from the perspective of like Lido as a DAO, wholly allude to the whole idea and ideals of Base in terms of like decentralization. I know that like with Lido, at some point last year, a lot of the FUD was around like what happens if we have like the DAO owns like 33% of all the stake ETH. What happens? Would it be like basically Lido DAO being able to control like what happens in terms of like block proposing and all that? But I think the commitment is pretty clear, like for Lido to be more, to further decentralize regardless of however much of the total stake ETH that Lido has. So I think a lot of like the initiatives that the Protocol team has taken on alludes to that. So basically not just from the perspective of like Lido as a DAO with LDO as a governance token, it's also on a protocol level. Like for example, I think recently the launch of community staking module is one of the initiatives that the DAO contributors are focusing on in order to make Lido even more decentralized, because with the launch of the CSM module, basically more people are able to participate in validating in Lido as solo stakers, for example. So I think Lido is really aligned in the whole idea of the ideal of decentralization, and I think even along the lines in the roadmap, like next year, there should be things coming up like Rep Steve being part of the governance. So basically it's dual governance between LDO and Rep Steve. I think that's also on the roadmap in terms of how DAO contributors are trying to further decentralize Lido. Along with like everything else that everybody said with regard to adoption and why does it allude to us building on Base, it's simple. It's the whole idea that what the DAO and the contributors believe STETH is in the whole, not just DeFi economy, just in the whole general crypto space, is that the intent is to have better ETH, right? So the whole idea of doing it on Base makes a lot of sense because it just takes some education, some more integrations, and basically as long as people can use it seamlessly with good enough liquidity, with different protocols on base, basically we're offering like better ETH in that sense. So wholly aligned with the whole pillar of decentralization as well as adoption.
Yeah, I think better ETH is a good way to put it. Not better, but ETH that's easier to build on, that's more user-friendly. And one thing about Base that a lot of builders enjoy as well is that we kind of have that complete suite of tooling. So not only bridges like Axelar and DeFi protocols and social protocols and also AI, but also kind of first-party toolings. For example, we have our Coinbase wallet that's going to be increasingly the front door of Base. We have smart wallets that make it 30 seconds to onboard instead of 30 minutes. And then we have Base Names, which is a social graph that everyone can plug into. We also have on-chain kit, which are React components that you can easily use, and also Coinbase developer platform. So the way we see it is we also are kind of verticalizing to make it as easy as possible for builders to build on Base. So also in the interest of time, we'll end with 2 questions. The first one is related to just what I talked about. What are your thoughts in general on the resources on Base so far and the tools and support your team has gotten? And also, what are ways that we should improve, and like, what do you think that we could be doing better in terms of these areas? Yeah. So any criticism, feedback, welcome, and things we're doing well as well. We'd like to hear about it so we can continue to double down on them.
I can go first. I think for us, I mentioned the stuff that we appreciated a lot, right? I think amplification, the cohesiveness of the community. But I think one thing that as a business, right? Because you think of it like fundamentally for Virtuals, our underlying business model, it's if there's liquidity and there's trading activity on the agents, that's where volume and TVL builds out. And there's a major strategic question, right? That we've been posed by community members and advisors as well. It's like Base is cool, a lot of cool builders, but as an EVM, TVL is strong. But as a chain, Solana, it's 20 times more degen and more speculative flow, right? So then there's a question of like, should we then expand beyond? Should we go cross-chain, or should we just be native on Base, right? And I think the question there is, if there is a lot more degen flow and speculative energy on Base, then I mean, there's a muted question, right? You don't have to. You can just stick on Base. But I think right now, as is, I think it's just the reality of where the markets flow. I do not know what we can do as a community. I mean, building is one way to solve this two-sided market, but I don't know what else can be done, right? I think Aerodrome is playing a very good role because they're attracting a lot, but providing the kind of 3-3 incentives, they're attracting a lot of flow and capital in. I do not know what else is needed, but if you can unlock liquidity, that would be the answer, right? And then suddenly there's no reason for any other L2 chains to exist if you guys can be as strong as Solv in terms of speculative power. Yeah.
There's a Base meme strategy coming up in Q1, so stay tuned.
All right. Well, from our perspective, it was pretty seamless to integrate Base. I'd love to see deeper integrations with the Coinbase front ends and like the wallet, but keep crushing it. I think everything is going in the right direction.
Awesome.
So I think tooling are great. It's easy for developer to pick up to build all kinds of stuff on Base. Yeah, just like what I said, probably need more support on Asia side for ecosystem, and I think for probably like generating revenue or like issue a token. So far it's hard for me, at least for me, to see like one token that like accept memes, right? That really turn out to be like performing well on Base. Yeah. So I think that's one of the thing we're considering right now. Besides, I think Aerodrome is one of the success on Base that everyone will mention. But besides Aerodrome, what else, right? And memes, we definitely know like bread, all kinds of memes. Yeah. So so that's how we see Base ecosystem.
Thank you.
I love how Base started with Bald, and now it's going to Q1 meme coin season. That's my takeaway from this panel. But I think one thing. So I don't see Base as a standalone, right? Like Base, Coinbase, the whole wallet, like it's an entire package, right? I think you guys have a great ecosystem that hasn't been very well tapped. I think there are some other chains and some other exchanges that have done way better than you, and it's something that, as a chain and as an ecosystem, and maybe as an exchange, I think more efforts need to be done to actually bridge that gap. Because your strongest benefit or your strongest strength, where is it? It's about getting users from your exchange over, right? Getting exchange users onto DeFi, right? And you have that phenomenal bridge and a phenomenal channel, right? It's about how you actually tap on it.
Yep, absolutely. On the meme front, we think that memes are incredibly important to the base economy because meme tokens or meme coins, they're just like internet memes that are the most viral thing ever. But now they have a financial aspect to it, and we don't see them as any different on Base. So fully supportive of Base, and we're trying to figure out how we can better support memes and better foster memes on Base. So that's something to look out for. And in terms of deeper integrations of Coinbase, that's also something our team's very, very focused on in the coming quarters. So Base is not only a platform to bring developers and users on chain, but a big focus for us right now is bringing Coinbase more on chain. And I think in the next coming quarters, you'll see more product examples and experiences that have that tight-knit integration and a seamless UX for Coinbase users and also Base users and also builders that will be very, very beneficial. So stay tuned.
Can't personally speak from like a developer front in terms of like what support the builders get, but from an ecosystem perspective, I think it's great. You and Zach literally have been really responsive and helpful with regard to like introductions to new protocols that are interested in possibly integrating Rep-Steve. Well, but I do agree to like some of what's being said earlier in the panels. It's like, I think in terms of Base and its wider ecosystem, the way people view Base is kind of like, yes, there's DeFi and Aerodrome's doing great and all, but like most of these volume really come as a result of like meme season, right? Like the reason why they're literally churning out so much fee for their VE Aero holders is literally because every meme launches and has their LP on Aero. So as a result, that's how they pretty much churn all the fees. But like apart from that, and Rep-Steve is available on like most money markets on Base as well as Colero on Sim Futures. Apart from that, it's like not really that participative in terms of where most users are, and it's understandable because like it's an attention economy, right? People go on Base, you know what they'll do? Either they buy bread, buy virtuals, buy Luna. What else? The past 2 days, Loom, was it Loom? Yeah, the thing that fun. So it's kind of like that's what captures the attention. But how I think the consideration has to be then, how do we like maintain them in the ecosystem? Because it's with memes, right? Like if I were to make a 1000x on like bread, I'm leaving. I won't want to keep it in the ecosystem, the economy, which I think that's kind of like how the mentality is for most degen traders on Base. So I think what then would have to happen is how do we then transition like the TVL that's or rather the volume that's being played on this front in terms of like memes, in terms of like AI and everything on Base. How do we then translate that into actually DeFi being a part of their lives? Like for example, I don't know, at the moment, if you look at Moonwell, you're actually being paid to borrow ETH. So how do we then translate all these users that TP'd into ETH, get them to continue? I'm not trying to say that we should lock them all 3-3 like a Ponzi, but more like how do we get this further adoption into the DeFi ecosystem on Base? That's kind of like where I'm trying to see how can you guys take that on.
Heard loud and clear. And for those of you who don't know, Zach is our head of DeFi, also known as Johnny TVL. He is one of the deepest thinkers in the DeFi space ever. So if you guys ever get a chance to work with him, it's going to be an incredible experience. And lastly, I just want to end with, could you guys just share what's next for your project? And is there a call to action for the people here in attendance for what they can do right now to kind of contribute to that or get involved or kind of participate?
Yeah, happy to go first. With Axelar, we're scaling very fast. Over the next few months, going to be adding a lot of the non-EVMs, where we should have full coverage of all the important non-EVMs in the next 6 months. And we'd love to see more integrations, into wallets, into front ends, into the base ecosystem, so that people can on and off ramp from other chains seamlessly with one click and within a few seconds.
So we're going to launch our most important flagship product for Open Social on Base within this month. So tomorrow we're going to launch what we call WeSpace. So it's like interest-centric spaces, socialify apps for people to create codelessly. And by the end of this month, we'll launch MeSpace. So you can create socialify all about you. Yeah, so we'll launch on Base, and Base will be the first chain. We're going to launch all these, where we're going to launch our flagship product.
I think for ourselves is, I wouldn't say what's coming, but like over the last few weeks and the last few months, on Base we have been making a lot of efforts to partner and integrate up with a lot of protocols, teams like Sin Futures, teams like Aerodrome, and at least on Base specifically, we expect many of these things to intensify over the next few weeks, and going to be very excited to see how that entire integration and an entire flywheel is actually going to kick off.
I think if maybe I'll just drop some Rep Steve Lido Alpha on Base specifically. The supply of ETH on L2s in terms of lending markets and all that, right? I think Base has actually one of the most thick and liquid ETH supply on all L2s. So basically, I think in this quarter, we're working with a couple of vault protocols to try and essentially figure out a way to create a U layer of sorts. I mean, I wouldn't want to say the word U because that's not compliant at all, but whatever. Basically, it's trying to figure this out with a bunch of different vault protocols. And I think one of the chains that we're heavily focusing on trying to incentivize the adoption and usage of RepSteve strategies on would be Base, because Base literally has, for RepSteve on L2s, Base is actually the L2 where there's the most RepSteve liquidity as compared to other chains that we're on. So from my team's end, we were thinking in terms of L2 growth, where do we have the most upside potential, and it was Base. Because on the lending markets, you have the most ETH supply, you have the most different protocols, you have Aave, you have Moonwell, you have Contango that does all the looping. So it was quite clear to us that taking a step towards doing this on Base and then trying to get nice access points for new users that are looking for better risk-adjusted returns on Base. Yeah, we're probably going to be launching these couple of vaults in hopefully this quarter. But yeah, that's the whole idea of why we're really focusing on Base, because it is a lot of untapped potential in terms of DeFi. And I don't mean any offense. It's because a lot of the attention goes to memes, and I understand because I myself also like to degen in shitcoins.
Got it. Yeah, looking forward to the launch. And Jansen, what's next for virtuals?
So I really believe agents are going to be that retail consumer meta in 2025. And if any of you guys want to build that Basey or that CyberKongs or that those early projects that lead the meta, right? Hit us up. So we are pushing two things on the ecosystem side. We are one, giving developer firepower. So for folks who have cloud and community but don't really have that AI or dev capability, we have a firepower. We are building out a firepower for that, and we are also getting a bunch of ecosystem funders to come in, because we believe that for this meta to take hold, we need really, really strong projects individually building up by themselves, right? And then we can provide funding support, funding steroids, and dev steroids to you guys. So yeah, so that's we're going to build up a new meta, and we invite anyone who's keen to join us on this exciting journey.
Incredible. Super grateful for all of your time, and super, super thankful that all of you are spending your time and energy and efforts building on Base. We couldn't be more grateful, and we hope to continue to do a better job serving all of you. And to the audience here today, thanks for all your time as well. Super thankful that y'all all made it out and got to participate and listen and engage with us. And hope to see you guys all on chain. Thank you.
Thank you.